Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Global Career Forum, the international online recruiting event organized for the MBA students from top business schools. And we welcome you to today's online session with Lori Systems. We have the pleasure to welcome for this live session our two keynote speakers, Nancy Odero, who's the Chief of Staff at Lori Systems, and Joshua Moranga, who's a business analyst. As this is a live Q&A session, I would invite all participants to ask your questions in the Q&A panel on the top right side, and we'll convey them to the speakers. Nancy and Joshua, warm welcome.
Hey, hello, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Excellent. So perhaps to kick off this session, could you share a little bit more with us about your background, your career, and your position today at Lori?
Yeah, sure. So my background is in finance and logistics. I studied supply chain in undergrad, and I worked at American Express for a while in New York, and then did a specialized master's at USC in social entrepreneurship, and then I moved back to Kenya and immediately got involved with Lori. And I started off, I've been the chief of staff for about a year and 5 months now. It's been a really great experience working really closely with the COO and all the different team leads. My role pretty much spans all different departments. I'm not very singular in the function that I stick into. So I work a lot with finance, business development. I'm very project related in everything that I do, working on strategic advancements for the company as well as investor relations on occasion. And yeah, so that's pretty much the role that I take on. I'll let Joshua speak about his background and give you an overview of what he's doing at Lori.
Great. So just picking up from where Nancy left it at, my educational background is in economics and finance from Kenyatta University. I am also a fully certified public accountant in Kenya. So I started off my career as an internal auditor with Saiton Investments, which is a company that deals with real estate and investment both in Kenya and in the US. Later on, I transitioned to Open Capital Advisors, where I've been working as a business analyst. And in my role as a business analyst, I have completed a raft of sectors in different, a raft of projects in different sectors, which include renewable energies, human resource, healthcare, IT, and a couple of others. So I've been working with Lori for the past 2-3 weeks with specific focus in recruiting. So we are trying to fill different positions within Lori Systems as we position ourselves to expand across East Africa and eventually Africa. So pretty much that's what I'm doing out now, and that's a brief description of myself.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Can we spend a few words, a few moments on the company itself, the company's mission, the core business, if you can shed some light on that?
Yeah, sure. So just to give you an overview of what Lori does, essentially, we are a tech startup in the logistics space in Africa. We work to connect large cargo owners with transporters. So for example, you as a cargo owner, if you need trucks to move your goods from point A to point B, previously without Lori, you would initially interact with about 50 different transporters. By the time you're signing contracts, you're down to about 20. By the time you're having trucks showing up to the unloading point, you're down half to about 10 transporters. And the trucks that actually take your goods on the journey, the ones that actually reach the end point, goes much lower than that. The issue that we found in the industry was a complete lack of centralized coordination, lack of flexibility, poor communication, and lack of transparency on the side of the cargo owner. So we came in with the goal of taking out essentially the headache that both sides have to deal with. We interact a lot with SME transporters, giving them advantage of access to large cargo owners that they, as individuals, would not usually have access to over larger transporters. And for cargo owners, we come in and we give them complete transparency through the whole journey. So like with Lori, you as the cargo owner can essentially come to us and request trucks to move your goods, and then we go and we deal with the transporters, and then we match the trucks to the onloading and offloading points. And throughout that whole journey, you as a cargo owner have constant notifications, so you know where your goods are, you know if there are any delays. You just have constant transparency throughout. We have centralized coordination because we are the ones that manage all the matching of the trucks and deal with both parties on either side, and just ensure a sense of flexibility in terms of with the logistics space, anything can go wrong. So if a truck breaks down or anything happens, we're able to come in and rematch it immediately and follow through so that the journey continues as needed. So we don't own any cargo and we don't own any trucks. We work with transporters who own the trucks. We onboard them onto our system so we know which trucks we can avail as needed. And then we work with cargo owners on the other side who have the cargo. We're pretty much the midpoint in this whole chain. So yeah, that's Lori. Our goal, our mission essentially is to lower the cost of goods in Africa. And through everything that we do, we're aiming to reduce the burden of cost that end consumers have to bear as a result of ineffective logistical practices.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You mentioned earlier that Lori is a tech startup, and Joshua mentioned before in his answer that you do have some plans for growth. And I wanted to ask you, where is the company today on its growth path? What's next? How do you see a company evolving in next 5-10 years?
We've expanded quite a bit, I would say, from when I first started. We have offices in Nairobi, Kenya, in Mombasa, Kenya, in Uganda, and in Nigeria as well. We're right now concentrating our best to grow those existing offices that we have, and we do have plans to, our goal is to, take over Africa at some point, but we want to slowly just concentrate and bring about immense value and effectiveness in the offices that we have existing right now.
Perfect. So currently there are 3 internships that you are recruiting for. Products, as well as finance and customer. So I wanted to ask you if you could share a little bit more about them in terms of who are the profiles that you're looking for.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll let Joshua take over on this part.
Yeah, great. So I'll just go one by one, if that works.
Of course, yes, of course.
Great. So I'll just start with the Summer MBA Fellow for Product. So in this role, we are looking for somebody who has ideally 4+ years of experience in finance, operations, tech, logistics, consulting, any of those. We are looking for someone who has experience with multiple stakeholders at all levels, bearing in mind that we are trying to grow rapidly. So this is something we will be keen on. The people should be pursuing an MBA degree from a top 10 program. This person should have a strong attention to detail as a skill. This person should be entrepreneurial, a self-starter, and must have a problem-solving attitude. That's like the high-level expectation in terms of requirements for this particular role, and some of those may overlap with the other fellowship roles that we are providing. So just to quickly run through the responsibilities for this particular role, the first one will be to interface between Lori's external stakeholders and our engineering team. This person should understand, adapt, and apply industry best practices to our product and technological needs. The person should capture and define product and system requirements. This person should draft clear documentation and communication. Maybe last, this person should be able to drive alignment, business, and technical teams. And basically everything else that pertains to improving our product offering to the client, that's both the transporters and the cargo owners. So I'll move to the second role, which is finance. So for the responsibilities of this person, they should be in a position to analyze new markets and offerings. So as we have mentioned already, we are expanding aggressively through East Africa, West Africa, and eventually through Africa. So this person should be able to analyze the new markets in this space. The person should be able to enhance finance processes. This person should expect to contribute to the design of our next generation logistics system. So our system at the moment is still a working in progress item. So this person is expected to contribute towards the development of the same. And as requirements, this person should have 4 or more than that years in finance, operations, tech, logistics, either of those industries. We will prefer this person to have a keen interest in East Africa. This person should be an exceptional communicator. This person should be confident, charismatic, passionate, and has the ability to inspire others within the team. And lastly, the person should have experience interacting with multiple stakeholders at all levels. So the last role, which is customer excellence and operations fellow, there are a ton of responsibilities here and requirements. So I'm just going to pick out the key ones. On the part of responsibilities, this person will be required to develop and implement process improvements. This person should be able to identify, implement tech solutions to automate and ultimately enhance process quality and efficiency overall. We would like this person to take on the responsibility of developing and implementing commercial products that improve the lorry customer experience. Requirements, these are pretty much similar to what I've mentioned in the other 2 roles, so I may not have to read through them again. In terms of experience, pretty much the same as the other 2. So you should have experience in operations, customer service, sales, tech, or logistics.
Okay, thank you very much.
So that's pretty much it for our expectations for these roles.
Perfect, thank you. I have a question from Philippe, who is asking how long are these internships for, and what are the locations of the internships?
Sorry, Zana, could you repeat that? You cut out a bit.
Yeah, sure. Do you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, do you hear me? I hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Excellent. I have a question from Philippe asking how long are these internships for, and what are the locations?
Yeah, so these internships will be based in Nairobi, Kenya. There is potential for travel with the operations role, particularly the customer and excellence one. The product and finance will mostly be based in Nairobi. I don't foresee too much travel there, but they will all be based in Nairobi, Kenya.
Perfect, thank you. And the length of the internships?
Zana, you're breaking.
All right, Zana, we can't hear you, sorry.
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
The length of the internships, how long are they for?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
The length of the internships? For how many weeks do they last, the internships? Do you hear me, Nancy?
Hi, Nana. Sorry, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Sorry, we're having a bit of issues. Go ahead.
Excellent. So I was asking the length of the internships. For how many weeks do these internships last?
So we have the internships lasting for the summer, which is about 3 months. That is flexible. It's not fixed. It can be adjusted based on the student's schedule as needed.
Okay, perfect. And then a question from Ido saying, if you have any other positions besides internships, and perhaps to build on that question, can these opportunities, the internships, can they transition into a full-time role?
So number one, yes, we do have a ton of open positions. Feel free to check our website, our careers page. We have a couple of open positions that we are actively recruiting for right now. And again, yes, definitely, this role has potential to translate into a full-time role. We like to develop people, and we see great interns come through our door. We are more than happy, to keep them in the door and develop their career and have them take on more responsibilities down the line.
Excellent. And a question that comes up oftentimes regarding work permits and visas, is that something that you would sponsor, especially for international students?
So we would have, there's no, since you're on a short-term contract with us, which is about 3 months, we'd be able to cover that visa that you apply for at the airport. And to become on full-time, we do sponsor work visas.
Excellent. Could you, as we talked about basically 3 different openings and 3 different departments, could you walk us through the structure of the company and what are the different departments in the LORE systems?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different functions. Our first main one is our business development team, which is essentially our sales team. That's split into 2, transport and cargo. The cargo team deals with the cargo owners going to find clients, going to ensure that we have enough cargo to move. And the transport team deal with the transporters, going out and getting trucks, ensuring we have trucks in our system to be able to match on demand whenever cargo comes through. Next, we have our finance team as well, and we have our tech team, which is where both of the other fellow positions fall. Our operations team is split between in-the-office customer service team as well as on-the-ground clerks and overall just business operations for the company on the ground. And then we have our people operations team, which is responsible for dealing with the people that we have on our team, from recruiting to people management. That's pretty much what that covers. And yeah, so that's the breakdown of the functions that we do have.
Perfect, thank you. And could you share with us a few examples of the projects that the new hires will be working on?
So the projects will be rather varied. I think one of I think for the operations, that would fall into customer excellence. I believe that's what the role is, and so that's probably the one that would be able to give a rough estimate of what a project should look like. We're ramping up a lot in terms of our customer service team and just ensuring we are first in class in dealing with our customers and how we respond to them, and how we as a company have a really strong NPS score from dealing with our customer service team. So there's a lot that you could possibly take on in that role, and in the finance role as well as the tech role. Our team leads will be able to are in the process of structuring projects for the fellows right now. So giving more of a concrete answer to this question is a bit difficult right now, but I could follow up with anyone interested. They could email me later on, and I can follow up with the team leads to get a more structured answer to that.
Excellent, thank you. When we're talking about MBA recruiting, where do you usually place MBA profiles, and then on average, how long do people stay in the same position in the company? How do you at LORE promote career evolution change?
So in terms of where we place MBA profiles, were you referring to where MBA students are placed in the company?
Yes, exactly, department's roles.
Oh, okay, so within this this is sort of like a fellowship, so it's a entry-level role mostly that we see. It's not really, I think that's probably a wrong description. It's not really entry-level, but at the same time, we know it's a fixed-term sort of engagement with the company. And that's an opportunity for the fellow to get a sense of all the different teams that we have in potential growth trajectories that they could take on. I think one of the greatest benefits of still being relatively flexible and agile as a startup is you're able to map out a career path that works out for you. We had, for example, my previous PA really enjoyed sales and working with the transport team, so she was able to meet with them and go to a couple of meetings with them, and right now she kind of sat down and talked to me about her goals, and we've outlined her growth path, and now she's a sales associate leading a team. So it's more of you figuring out what it is you want to do and where your passions lie, and how you want to map out that growth path of yours. That being said, we do have certain growth paths that we have in place for different roles. We just don't want to forcefully have that be the only potential growth career that someone can take off, so we're rather flexible in that aspect.
Excellent, thank you very much. If people are interested and they want to apply, obviously there are some positions on the Global Career Forum that we mentioned, internships, and you also told them you have other possibilities on your career website. So I just wanted to ask you, what can people expect after that? What are the typical steps in the interview recruiting process?
Sure. So the first step, of course, is our initial screening call, where you deal with from our recruitment team, where they just understand you and your background, and if it's a particular role. After that, progress to a second stage interview where you talk with a manager on that team. And depending on the role that you're interviewing for, there would be a third stage where you would interact with an executive level lead of the team, so that they can get a better sense of who you are and who would potentially be joining their team. And then with some roles we do have case studies that we send out, but with the roles that we don't, after the third interview, you're usually able to hear back from us with a decision after 2 weeks.
Excellent, thank you very much. If you look today at leadership or at people that have been promoted, had a great career evolution within the company, what would you say are the key characteristics that makes a person succeed at Lori?
Great question. I think one of the things that stands out is, just being a grinder. A lot of what we do is very, very intensive. It requires a lot of hard work and dedication and drive, and in that, having that skill, I think it pours out in a lot of what someone does and produces, and their ability and their willingness to learn. So just being essentially a grinder, as I said, is a big standout quality. And of course, being a great team player, because as you go up the chain, you have to interact with a lot more people. So understanding, how to interact with the people from different backgrounds and in different roles is really important. Of course, the required skills and expertise is there based on the role and the growth trajectory that you're taking on, but we place a really big emphasis on people who are, driven and hardworking and who are interested and willing to learn and grow.
Thank you very much. What about the company and team culture? How is that like?
So we have actually a very young demographic that we have at the office. A lot of millennials. We are very hardworking, dedicated team on the ground. We're actually very family oriented because we spend a lot of time together. So you can find people hanging out both outside and in office setting as well. And I think that's poured in a lot into the working of the company, because we're very open. You're able to go ask anyone anything. We're not hierarchical at all. So it's very open and driven and hardworking and family-like, I would say.
Excellent. Joshua, you want to add anything to that?
That's precisely what the culture looks like.
I think it's great to have feedback from Joshua because he's very new. So it's good to have a more objective view. I've been here quite long, so I might be biased.
Okay, yeah, so I've been here 2 weeks now. That's pretty new. So in terms of culture, it's exactly what Nancy said. So for example, during my first 3 days, I got the opportunity to just chat with some of the top managers, over lunchtime, over breakfast. So the other thing is we like to have our meals in a shared room. So that gives you the opportunity to interact with anybody, regardless of their role within the firm or level. So it's pretty much an open culture.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I have another question from Philippe asking if you could repeat the countries that you're planning to expand to in the next few years.
Okay, so at the moment we are already in Kenya. We have operations in Uganda, but we still want to grow our networks within Uganda itself. We are already in Nigeria, and we want to expand there as well. We are looking to go into Ghana and maybe other West African countries, English-speaking West African countries. And also within East Africa, we are thinking Ethiopia. So at this point, it's pretty much open for discussion and depending on what the market promises to offer. But what I can tell you for a fact is that we are expanding aggressively and we are going to move into very new exciting countries across Africa, not just East Africa or West Africa.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Just a few more words on the roles that you currently have online. In terms of performance expectations for the internship, what would you say it would make it a success so the candidates could receive a full-time offer?
So I think in terms of what we're looking for, I think that falls really closely in line of what I was mentioning, how we look at success in the company. Speaking to people who we see are relatively very driven, willing to learn, willing to put in the hard work. For our product role specifically, we would need someone with a very strong technical background because of what it is you'd be working on. With finance too, it'd be great to have someone who has some background in the finance field. We look at people who have not only had experience working in teams, it'd be great if they've led teams as well, because they would interact with a lot of different people in teams. So it'd be great to have someone who's had that experience and that exposure. We're not really corporate, so whatever experience someone has in their background, it's more of what it is they've been able to do with it, and the value that they can show that they've brought in their past. And so that's a strong standout for us.
Thank you. A question for both of you. What made you want to work at Lori System?
Great question. For me, it was quite interesting. I'd actually just moved back from the US and I found out I met our founder, Josh, about 2 weeks after I moved back. I think what was interesting to me is having this. I've always wanted to work in a company or just in business with a social cause, and that's why I studied social entrepreneurship. And so learning more about Lori and their goal to essentially lower the cost of goods for the everyday man, that's really what pulled me to the company, and seeing what it is that they want to do, their overall goal to improve the lives of people all over Africa. That was really a strong pull for me. Another thing was just being able to combine sort of my backgrounds in logistics and in entrepreneurship. Having both of those fall into place within one company was really great. And then having the chance to meet the team, I had an opportunity to meet the team before joining and speaking to them and seeing just the passion that they have and the drive they have was really a strong pull for me, because all of them are very passionate about the mission of the company. They want to see it grow, they want to see it succeed, and I really wanted to be a part of that. Joshua?
Yeah, sure. So in my work at Open Capital, most of the projects that I have done had a social impact aspects to them, and this is where I take the most pride in. So I'm just going to be precise. So I like engaging myself with work which delivers some concrete results. So if you look at what Lori System is trying to do, is we are trying to eliminate or at least lower inefficiencies in logistics. And essentially, when you do that, you are lowering the cost of goods sold, and you are making the business people, those at the level of SMEs, make more money. Essentially, you are growing the economy. So I see this as a real solution to African problems, and this is just exciting to be a part of.
Excellent, perfect. Just a few short questions. The start of the internship, Milka is asking when do these internships start?
So we just work with the students' schedule. I understand summer usually starts around May, end of May, June, based on when school ends. We'd like the students to be on for 3 months, so if we're able to encompass that whenever they're able to start, we're flexible on it.
Excellent. And second part of Milka is why the focus on top 10 business schools?
Well, we have, I think it's mostly because we have a strong demographic that comes from a number of the top 10 business schools like HBS, Duke, and the such. So we've had really great experience last year with the candidates that we brought on board from those schools. So having that, we'd like to continue with that trajectory. Yeah, I think mostly just get it. We've had really great experience from the people that we've had, and also just the demographics of the people that we have on the team.
Excellent. Very last question from Philippe. What is the current head count of the company?
93 in Nairobi.
We're at, we're about 93. Nairobi. Sorry, Lino has just stepped into the room from his meeting. He's the one yelling into the mic.
Sorry.
Hello.
So,
how you doing?
Good. So you were saying 93 people in the company?
Yeah, I think probably we're edging close to 100. Splits, I think including Nigeria takes us to maybe 109, 110.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just keeping in mind the time that we had for this session, and I want to give you also some time if there are any last-minute advice that you want to share with the students, with the candidates, any key messages that you want to share with us.
So we're looking at, I think the USP here is a rapidly growing startup in a very exciting traditional space. Logistics has pretty much remained unchanged on the continent, and so first mover advantage. We are disrupting. Using technology to lower the cost of goods in Africa. I think that's sort of the crux of Lorry. In terms of scope, like I said, rapidly growing. Within 2019, we're looking to open offices in Ghana, Ivory Coast, Togo, Ethiopia, and Tanzania. There's key roles to play being part of the ops team and getting first-hand exposure to some of the problems and challenges of being first movers in this market. Equally, there is great opportunities within the product team to come up with solutions, tech-based solutions, to fix some of these problems. From where else is it, Nancy, that we might have people? Ops, product,
and finance.
And from a finance point of view, we are just closing a round of investment. It's an opportunity to get access to a up and coming startup that's looking to scale and possibly even raise a Series B in 18 months to 2 years. So we're looking at exciting from all fronts. The sell is not very hard. We have a nice dynamic team here. Everyone's pulling together with the same core objectives. I will emphasize, that's the nice rosy part. It's going to be a lot of hard work. There's a lot of things that will fall on their plates that may not necessarily be in their scope of work. So it's an opportunity for people who embrace a challenge and have an appetite for problem solving to do exactly that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. As you join us towards the end, can I just ask you for students, what is your role at the company?
My role?
Yes.
I head up recruitment across the board.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Nancy, Joshua, do you want to add anything on this before we conclude the session?
No, I think that's a good overview of Lori and what you're looking for.
Excellent. Well, I would like to thank you so much for your time today.
I think Joshua has something to say.
Yes, go for Joshua.
Nothing from you. Okay, just one thing. I think what could be really useful is, depending on the volume of interest, if we could have some sort of mechanism to not, I think Josh is probably going to be taking the lead on this, but a way to ensure that we get the best from the people interested, and not just everybody interested.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today and to be with us for this live session.
Yeah, thanks. Apologies for joining late. It's just been a manic day.
That's okay. Thank you for taking the time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.